Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is Daybreak. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. And you're watching the State of the Nation. On my far right is Dr. Martin Olo, Associate Dean at the Eastern School of Law, also an advocate of the High Court. Daktari, thanks for your time.
Asante. Thank you for having me, Ayub, and it's good to see young people on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the majority.
They're the majority. So, and we submit to them. We submit to them.
Sheila Olangi, development economist, also joins us this morning. Sheila, good morning.
Good morning.
Always a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me.
And Kevin Walumbe is litigation lawyer, litigation, sorry to get it right, counsel at Katiba Institute. Kevin, also lovely having you here on the broadcast.
Pleasure.
And many thanks for making time. Coming to you first, Daktari, happy birthday, Katiba. It's now 15 years and a day. What are your reflections of the events around it yesterday?
Thank you, Ayub. We must celebrate ourselves as Kenyans to have given ourselves this kind of constitution. Remember, 15 years down the line, this is one constitution that has withstood all attempts to amend it, all attempts to jig it around. So, congratulations to ourselves as Kenyans for having, for once, given ourselves a constitution that is not that easy to simply play around with. Remember, the independence constitution was ripped apart every other time. The entire structure of it was dismembered until we didn't know what we had, up to the point we were putting in Section 2A. So we are happy with ourselves, and for that reason, we must celebrate the gains. We have some power map. We have a road map for how power can be shared. We have a road map on how representation can happen. We have a road map on the separation of powers, including Chapter 15 commissions that enable some kind of checks and balance that have never been there before. The judiciary is operating fairly independently. Does it have issues? Yes. Legislature, fairly independently, do they have issues? Yes. The executive, no other executive has ever come under scrutiny than the executives that we've had under this constitution. They never get away with anything. They might get done, but as soon as they are finished, we get to know, we talk about it. We may not like it, they may not like it, but at least we have an opportunity to speak out, and that's a great thing.
And that's the freedom created, isn't courtesy of Katiba.
Yes.
Sheila, as young as Kenya's median age, 19, 15, Katiba is apparently a realization, is it, that Kenya is young, and how has it contributed to the progress of our prosperity, given the last 15 years?
I think I would agree with what Prof said. I personally am very proud of the constitution that we have. I'm always a champion of saying that Kenya has no shortage of good laws, a great and robust constitution, even compared to a lot of countries within our GDP range or within the region. So I have to say that, first of all, we are, as young people, we're very grateful to the people who fought so that we could have this new constitution, because we just don't know any better. This is what we're used to. We're used to the fact that we can go in and check which article says what. The fact that we have a voice, we have a structured way of giving input and understanding what's going on. This is all thanks to the Constitution. And sometimes I think we take it for granted that we just woke up one day and we had a robust Constitution, and we don't appreciate the struggle that was put forth in order for us to have this Constitution. So I personally am very grateful that we have this Constitution. What we are fighting for today is that we adhere to the Constitution, is that we implement this Constitution, is that we appreciate this Constitution. Because my favorite line in the entire document is always, the people shall, we the people, we own it. And I think that was the most powerful takeaway we had from this constitution, that the country belongs to us. It did not belong to a particular person. I remember discussing with my parents who were telling us, you know, back in the day, they always felt like, maybe during the Moi era, that the country belonged to a certain individual and there's nothing you could have done about it, no matter what you wanted. But we live in a time and space where the Constitution belongs to we the people. We are asking for accountability. We know our rights. And sometimes I think we understand the Constitution much better than the people who are actually placed there to be implementing and working around it, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll talk about the people and the culture of constitutionalism, which is apparently lacking. But Kevin, ideally, it was ought to remedy all of our problems, and given our past, our dark past. But what did you make of yesterday's commemoration?
Well, as you saw, there were mixed reactions towards implementation of the Constitution. But mostly, we see that there's some progress from the past. The dark past is a little bit becoming lighter. If you look at a few issues, for example, regarding gender equality, some of the good things introduced to electoral laws is that during elections, there is a certain percentage of women that have to be brought into power. And this has tremendously improved from the very first elections as compared to the previous ones. And right now, at least every Kenyan, or at least a majority of Kenyans in every county knows about this constitution. I'm not sure that anybody knew about what the independent constitution provided. So currently, we have a few milestones that have been achieved, and I know that as we proceed and as we push for this implementation and as we push back towards mutilation of the Constitution, we hope for better things. And I join Daktari in saying that this Constitution can stand the power that is coming against it for mutilation. And if we push towards implementing the Constitution, then we will achieve way more than going around it and bringing in clauses that can scatter or scuttle the good things, the progress that we have made already. Let us not go back to what happened to the independent Constitution.
Yeah, which was nibbled away by the government then. Daktari, of course, the questions of human rights, the independence of institutions, the question of power to the people under Article 1, envisioned in Katiba. But somewhat has it also created immunity around itself, ring fencing or protecting itself against any encroachment by the political elite, given the maneuvers made in 2020, just but an example of it and how it had immuned itself to that.
Something that Sheila said, which is critical, and I want to play it up. When this constitution says we the people, and actually vests power in we the people, it's a very important step. Important because we know what our history was. Remember, we came from a time when Parliament used to be the supreme. The president used to be the supreme. What he said was law. Now we are saying, no, it's us the people. And then Article 3(1) says every person has the right to respect and to defend this constitution. So that power is heavily fortified in this constitution. Does the constitution shield itself, or does it tackle issues of excesses of power? Absolutely. The checks that it places on the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary are meant to hold back those excesses. Is it working very well? I would say it is working. That's why we are talking about it. That every time they try it out, you see the pushback, you see the courts process being invoked, and that is very important. So that I would argue that this constitution has a way in which it is encouraging disagreements, discussions, and perhaps defending itself. Because there are very many avenues, whether you are going to court or whether you're going to the public or whether you are Gen Z going in and reading and playing it out. At least that is a great thing that we have. So that at the end of it all, what Kenyans have done is to bring back power to the people and people donating that power to the legislature and county and even national level. What I want to say is this. This is not the time for us to talk about amending the Constitution. It's the time for us to continue talking about how best do we implement the Constitution. Take the case of 47 counties. There are too many in the eyes of who? if we are saying this country needs to make sure that we are all inclusive and we reach the lowest levels of the country, then the 47 counties are important. And remember, it was not meant to stop there. It was meant to be further developed. So what we should be asking is, how have we in Migori, how have we in Kwale made sure that devolution is going beyond the county? Not whether we have too many. That's not the argument. It's how efficient, how effective can we be? And if we are wasteful, how can we reduce wastage? So the discussions that are being brought are red herrings. Those are politicians looking for their own, perpetuation. They're not talking for us.
And the courts were clear in 2020. In 2021, is it that this process can happen in two ways either? It can kickstart or initiate at Parliament or the people.
The people, yes.
And does it then give us a sense of the unending appetite of the constant encroachment by the political elite in either doing it practically or showing or displaying intent to do it?
Absolutely. In fact, this is the thing that this constitution was anticipating, that there will be pressure from the political class, from power, and therefore it has placed so many checks on that power until it has said, go back to the people. Even when you are going through Parliament, there are clauses that you cannot touch. You must still go back to the people. So that issue of referendum, that issue of ensuring that people are brought along, and then Article 10, transparency, accountability, participation, good governance. I mean, we have it all loaded in there. There is no shortage, as Sheila says, of good things in this constitution. Neither is there a shortage of good laws. Provincial administration, this constitution said, it shall be reviewed and reformed. So you don't need to go to the constitution to change the provincial administration. It's the law that was brought that is the issue. Strike that law and you achieve what the constitution is saying. So really, let's leave the constitution alone. We need another 15 years of continuous implementation, discussion, and review, and we just need to reorganize ourselves. We don't need to touch anything in this.
And disagreements.
And disagreements, yeah.
There's an op-ed by Gilbert Muyumbu, International Development Advisor, who has an op-ed on page 18 of the Standard, says, democracy has failed in Kenya, consider turning the country into a monarchy.
Sheila.
But Sheila...
Now, that is a very, very loaded question.
It's an interesting opinion.
It's an interesting opinion.
Yeah. But Dr. Olo points to the culture of lacking constitutionalism. But it's dangerous, is it, when in power there is a growing list of personnel who either opposed this dispensation, the president included, or some who find it as an anathema in supporting its implementation. How do we then navigate this culture of assault on Katiba?
I think one of the reasons why I love this constitution is because of that concept of checks and balances. The question is always intentions. What are your intentions when you want to touch this Katiba? Is it that it's not giving you what you want, or do you genuinely want to make reforms, and do you genuinely want to make sure that you reach the people? Again, timing, intentions, those are the things that I would look at when you tell me you want to change the constitution. Now, let's have an honest look and ask ourselves, what is not working? I think we run the danger as a country of liking new things. We introduce everything right now is going through some kind of very drastic reform. The health system, we have SHA now, we moved from NHIF, we are going through that, and you can see the issues that are rising. Our education system is going through its own, teething problems, its own major reforms that are going on. All of this is coming at a time when there's a lot of uncertainty. All of this is coming at a time when we're going through an economic revolution of, proportions that I don't think a lot of people appreciate. So now to come back and now say, okay, now let's now go back and then review this constitution, I'm worried that, as usual, Kenyans will start feeling like we're just out of touch. Now we're discussing a constitution when we are barely there in terms of being able to address how does the healthcare system work. Health is a devolved function. If you go to a county and it is not working, why is it not working? Do we have, laws in place to ensure that we can actually implement this constitution? So we are not constantly looking for new things. Otherwise we risk being like, a toddler who you give them a toy, they play with it, and in 2 minutes they're like, okay, that's enough. Can I get a new toy again? We need to be able to have the stamina to actually follow through. We need to ask ourselves very, very paramount questions. If it is not working, why is it not working? How do we make it work a little bit better, right? Those are the questions that we need to be grappling with. But at the risk of just having political intentions for constantly asking for these reviews, then we'll become, we're going to get in trouble. I think we have to love our country first. We have to love this country first. Beyond your political ambitions, beyond your financial ambitions, you have to love Kenya first. And you have to ask yourself, is this a priority? Is this what we need to be looking at now? Because should I remind you that as we speak today, we have children who are going back into school. We have capitation issues. We have people who are going into universities who are now trying to be assessed and put into different bands. Do they have the money to go into the universities? We have a purchasing power problem in the country. Our macroeconomic indicators are doing well. We don't have money in our pockets. Can we ask ourselves, why is this? And shouldn't this be a priority? We saw what's just happening now with SHA.
Okay.
You said we move from NHIF, we go to SHA, and that this is supposed to make it better. And again, there's nothing wrong with these ideas. We just need to follow them through and have the right intentions at the back of our head. And because the Constitution anticipated that I, Sheila, the politician, will not have good intentions out of my own DNA, so they put checks and balances in place. So we, the people, have the power, and we, the people, will drive the political class back to focus. Focus on education, focus on health, focus on matter security, deliver that to the Kenyan people, then we can discuss.
Yeah. And Kevin, how much then investment has this Katiba, when you look at it made in the Mwananchi, and how much can the youth further the power in their hands in pushing for its implementation, compelling the political class to do so?
Very well. As we are aware, the youth have already shown that they can use the power conferred upon the people under Article 1. And besides pushing under Article 1, I believe Article 22 also allows anybody to approach courts to force implementation of human rights. And Article 258 also allows anybody to approach courts if the Constitution is being contravened. Now, picking a cue from what Dr. Martin Olo said, the issue of devolution, the youth are in all counties, and devolution has made resources to reach everybody at the county level. What we are being told that devolution is just devolution, is devolved corruption. What we have to fight is the corruption, but not throw out the baby with the bathwater. Because devolution was a good baby that has been delivered to the people. And access to services at the county level has been enabled because of the spread of resources of the cake to the counties. Now, when you talk about development of the youth, there is an article in the Constitution that provides for sustainable development. What is sustainable development is not what is currently being done in the form of empowerment, handouts in form of empowerment, people moving from place to place and giving. How is that sustainable? So the youth have to come out and demand for projects that can be sustainable, that can provide employment, that can provide money in their pockets for a long period. Because if you go handing out a few shillings here and there, when you move away from that place, I mean, the money is spent on every day. If a youth is employed, he will go and have a few drinks, sink his sorrows, and tomorrow the same thing is recurring. So I believe when we move towards projects that bring about sustainable development, then we will deal with the problem of youth empowerment, youth employment, and all problems related to the youth.
Yeah. Daktari, looking at it then, there are many issues that Katiba had envisioned and which have never been met fully. And let's begin right with the question of the independence of institutions. Constantly they have been under pressure, isn't it? And how has this delayed the implementation of our Constitution?
Let me say this, Ayub, that the issue of independence is there in the Constitution. But the practice of independence isn't in the name. It is in the actions and the results of those actions. So, for example, you have an independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Even if you removed independence, basically what you are saying is that you are a commission that is supposed to be running elections and reviewing boundaries without looking over your shoulder or taking instructions. Now, that's one thing. It does not mean that those who are in the politics or in the executive will not want to give you instructions. They will. And I would say they should. The question is, are those consistent with the Constitution or not? And what do you do? How do you push back? So our challenge has been not in the word independence, but in our fidelity, in our belief and in our practice on the exercise of responsibility that the Constitution has given us. So whether you are judiciary, whether you are the legislature, you need to act in a manner that shows that you understand the role you have been given. So when you are a member of parliament and you stand up and say, we passed this thing for you, we did this for you, it means that you are a robot. It means that you actually do not understand your role. In the first place, President Ruto doesn't have his own country or an agenda that we should be helping him to achieve in the sense that it's personal. No. He's been elected to hold office on behalf of Kenyan people. So if he has a good program, we will support it. If he has a bad program, we'll tell him as much. And once you've been elected, you are the president of everybody. You're not just the president of Kenya Kwanza or the president of people in yellow. No, you are the president of everybody. So again, at that point, you are not doing things for him. Rather, we are working for the country. So if you're judiciary, work for the country. Yeah. If you're in the legislature, work for the country. If you're in the executive, work for the country. And the country is get Kenyans to enjoy being Kenyans, to enjoy the welfare, to enjoy social amenities, and to enjoy well-being.
And Sheila, notwithstanding the the emerging bad blood between parliament and executive, which constitutional scholars argue is good for our democracy, ideally it's judiciary, isn't it? Albeit the concerns of corruption that are expressed, that has been keeping this constitution afloat.
Absolutely. I think on Katiba Day, I had a newfound love for the judiciary, because sometimes you feel like they're the only ones we have left as Kenyans, and we appreciate them. I think judiciary has also been on the record to be, at least willing to keep checks and balances when the two other arms of government are in bed together. I think here's the challenge, Ayub, if you ask me. We have some very simple problems that we have that it's a question of priorities, that if we could just focus on those priorities, get those solved, then we can have bigger conversation. I'll start with the first example. We were told that money has left eCitizen. I'm still sitting here asking myself, what have we done about that? What does the Constitution say? What are we supposed? Can we just at least find the money that left eCitizen?
If not the people.
If not the people, forget the people. We'll even give them amnesty at this point. Where is the money? Because we need it to build our schools. We need some medicines in the hospital. Can we at least just start by, let's find where the money is that left eCitizen. Let's use the same energy, the same spirited effort to fight corruption in this country. I'm a strong believer that we have everything that we need in Kenya. We are a blessed and beautiful country. We have everything you can imagine, whether it's the borders, the water, the mountains, the resource, all of it is here. So the fact that we are not getting our act together is why we are having these problems that we're having. So we need to refocus. We need to have a very clear priority list that, what are the sectors that we need to make sure that they are working. Devolution is always a bit interesting as well. If you go to a county that is doing well, you start to really appreciate devolution, because you say, okay, it's really nice that someone does not have to go, into the president's office and knock and come back. My father was a member of parliament when there was no devolution, and he used to tell me you had to go and literally knock the president's door and say, I need a school.
Even for their salary. Even
for your salary. You'd have to go and knock and say, excuse me. And that is ridiculous, So we live at a really wonderful time where we have a devolved system. But it also says that we are at the mercy, more or less, of the leaderships that we get in the counties. Some counties get good leadership, and therefore we can see the fruits of devolution coming through. Some counties not so much, and then we see that an entire county is now lagging behind. So we have a devolved system of corruption. We have a devolved system of incompetence. We have a devolved system, you know, and the list could go on and on and on and on. So I think the responsibility lies with all of us as Kenyans, as the electorate who elect the people who go into these spaces. We also have a responsibility to ensure that we're electing people who understand the job description and they know that, you know, they're there. Sometimes I worry, especially in Parliament, that you have people who go into Parliament and they really don't understand, they don't have an appreciation for the role of representation, legislation. You know, for them, they sit and they look at the executive and they say, what are we supposed to say about this? And then they say it. Yeah. And that was very clear, very, very clear last year when you had, you know, asked the citizens telling them, don't do it, don't do it. And, you know, they're sitting in State House and they're like, well, we're going to do it anyway. So we have a long way to go. We have an absolutely long way to go. But can we start by solving very basic problems? What is going on with SHA? Where is that money? E-Citizen, where is that money? Corruption, where is that money? How much of our revenue now are we using on development?
Okay.
We are shrinking the percentage that we're using on development as a country instead of increasing it, right? Can we discuss why that is? Okay,
when we get back from the break, Kevin, I begin with you on that note. And the constant supplication at the feet of the executive by Parliament, which was dead against the finance bill in 2024. But the following day, they ended up clapping on the president, said he is not going to sign the bill that they had passed, raising questions about their commitment to even understanding the powers invested in it by Katiba 2010. We proceed with the discussion after the break here on the broadcast. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak, State of the Nation, at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. Back with the Dr. Sheila and Kevin here on the broadcast agent.